It is Thursday, January 8th, 2015. Welcome, everyone, to episode 18 of the OG Cast, your clan podcast for the original Guardians. My name is Mike. You can find me on Xbox Live. I am mikerocksmore. I was kind of hoping for a little larger group today, but luckily we got Keith here. How you
Luckily.
doing? It was looking touch and go there for a little bit, but you're here, so.
Yeah.
How's it going this week?
Not too bad. Finally good to be back. It's been a few weeks since I've been on the cast. I think last week I was out, and then off a couple of weeks before that. So it's good to start the 2015 year.
Excellent. Have you stuck to your New Year's resolution so far?
I wasn't foolish enough to make any because I knew that I would break them.
Smart man.
Yes.
Kind of the opinion that I've adopted here too. It's no sense setting myself up for disappointment. So
yeah, I've tried that before, and it's always like the lose weight and diet and stuff. That just doesn't work.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we were talking about that at work the other day. The gyms are always full for the first 3 weeks of January, and then it's everything's back to normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, let's get started here. Let's talk some Destiny first off the bat here, because pretty much as soon as we signed off last week, we got some interesting information.
Yeah, so a lot of news dropped right then.
Yeah, so let's get started. There's a leaked image. Now, this is, of course, to be taken with a grain of salt, but it looks pretty legit. Basically, this picture was an image showing basically the future of Destiny and what the plan is over the next year. So basically, it showed all the DLC. So of course we had Dark Below releasing on December 9th there, and of course we have House of Wolves. That's what's been confirmed so far. That's what Destiny or Bungie has said is coming for Destiny. But there was some stuff from beyond that. So,
and it was listed for March. I mean, that's exactly what I had called it, is a March DLC. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, they seem to be hitting that 2, 3, 4 month precedent there.
Yeah, absolutely. So this image does say that the House of Wolves is dropping on March 10th. Now that is to be taken with a grain of salt because this picture also had Dark Below releasing on December 2nd. So
yeah, I think the picture was from October or something, and it just started getting circulated now.
Yeah, that's what they said. So, and this was apparently leaked on, like, it's taken from some Bungie little meeting or whatever that they had.
Yeah, some like internal meeting.
Yeah, so and the picture it's blurry, so not everything is clear on it, but it does show the future beyond House of Wolves. So according to the image, we're going to have a sort of kind of a mini game drop in September, which is going to be called Plague of Darkness, apparently. Now in that, there's going to be, they say, 12 new missions, 4 new strikes, a new raid. That's when we're going to get the new subclasses, they say as well, and a new location called the Hive Ship. So that's not too bad, all things considered, I guess.
Well, if we break it down for a sec, so a new location, the Hive Ship, and I think that was even alluded to in previous concept art, or maybe it was even the Grimoire cards. It was like the derelict ship is what it was referred to as, and in terms of a new space, it's how big of a new area could that possibly be? Just one ship. I mean, we have right now, 3 planets in the moon that have vast open terrain with little subsections to them. So it's going to be a completely different feeling. Is it going to feel like a lot of content if it's one ship? I mean, with narrow hallways and assumingly multiple levels to it, but I don't know if it's going to feel as expansive as the current areas.
Well, probably not, but I would assume that of those 12 new missions, I'm pretty sure not all of them are going to be on that ship.
Yeah, I'm sure that's
out
the
amongst
case.
the existing world base. So, I don't know. I'm kind of, it's good to see that they are going to at least be trying to put some, effort in, to, making sure that there is content to fill the gaps between major releases.
Well, also one thing that was notable from the image is the image is framed as kind of like a standalone box. So it kind of like it was going to be a retail purchase, not necessarily just DLC like the House of Wolves and Dark Below are.
Yeah, I think the common consensus online is that when it does release, it's going to be sort of packaged as a sort of like a Game of the Year kind of edition. It's going
Yeah.
to include everything that's come out thus far. So
I mean, it makes sense for them to do that.
well, of course, yeah. Well, especially if you look going forward beyond that, because so they say that's going to launch in September, and then there's going to be another DLC drop in December, and that's going
Right.
to deal with the Vex apparently, and that's where the image got a little blurry. It's Vex something. It's like Vex Void or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So that'll be in December, and then they have the fourth DLC called Forge of Gods, and that'll be in next March. They say 2016. Which again kind of coincides with sort of the release schedule that we've already sort of seen so far.
Yeah.
And then that paves the way for Destiny 2 in September of 2016.
Yep. So, in terms of, I hope that we're not seeing that we're not gonna see another level cap increase with this DLC that comes in March. I would really like to see that keep the same level cap of 32. And
Yes.
then maybe with the larger DLC, increasing that one to like 35 or something.
That would make sense, and I would sure hope that they would do that at this point, because I think they pissed off a lot of people with having to completely relevel all their gear again and not have anything stand the test of time, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens, but yeah, I know that if House of Wolves comes down and it's another 2 levels to increase, or we're grinding again, and we know that we're just going to have another larger expansion, which is of course going to have a level cap increase. We're kind of, I mean, it seems like that would kill motivation to do all that grinding, especially because say if the level cap goes to 35 or whatever with this Comet expansion, people that haven't touched the game since release, that maybe they got up to 26 or something like that, they're going to be able to it's going to take them as much time to get to 35 as one of us to get to 35 that have been playing it constantly, that are maintaining that level cap, since it's all based on your light level.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, you've played a lot more MMOs. Is that kind of how it has to be when a
No,
new expansion
it's
comes out?
it's not like that ever. This is the first time I've ever seen a game where your level is tied to your gear. I mean, it's the traditional methodology is to have an XP system, kind of like how Destiny is 1 through 20, and then that maintains. So you just increase that level cap. Maybe 5 or 10 levels at a time when there's an expansion that comes out. But somebody that starts fresh, they still have to go 1 through 55. But if you are already at level 50, then you just have to go 50 to 55. Like they don't get a shortcut, or they have to spend the same amount of time as you originally spent to get to that, to the level cap.
Well, that makes sense, and I think that's how it should be. Bungie obviously thinks otherwise, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, though, I can't complain too much, because I am only 6 shards away from 32 right now on my hunter. So
that's good. Yeah, it definitely seems that getting raid loot is easier now after this last DLC with their new algorithm to determine if you're going to get shards or actual items.
Mm-hmm.
It seems that it's a lot smarter, and there's a lot less dice rolling to get new items.
Yeah, that is the case. I've got the chest twice, and I still haven't got the helmet.
Yeah.
However, we did run my level 29 warlock through there last night, and I got nothing but shards.
Oh, nice.
I did get the sniper too, but yeah, everything else was just shards, so that was a little bit of a little bit of a kick in the pants. But then again, the shards, they didn't go to waste. I just put them on my
Yeah.
hunter, and now I'm only 6 away. So, of course, now here's the time where RNG just totally screws me, and it'll probably take me 6 more weeks to get to 32 now. But
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see.
the only thing I'm missing right now are the bracers. So mm, I'm feeling fine, and I don't feel like I need to get to 32. Like it's not really not that important to me.
I guess it only really depends if you want to do the hard raid, which I guess
Yeah,
will be coming sometime before the end of the month. Bungie put out in the update today that they're still working on putting the final touches on. So probably within the next 2 weeks, I would think that.
and that's good. I'm glad that they didn't try to rush it out just to get it out there. Fix all the exploits and then and then release hard mode.
Exactly. And well, speaking of said exploits, we're going to see a patch on Tuesday that fixes quite a few of them. Let's see here. Basically, the lamps, will still kind of go through it bit by beats. The lamps at the beginning, they're not when they explode. They obviously send a shockwave that can jump you forward or backwards or wherever you're facing. I guess the blast radius of that has been reduced, so it's not going to be able to kick you into an area anymore where you're basically immune from all the enemies. The chest, the first chest, that had a chance to drop exotics, that has been removed, and that chest will only give just materials now.
That's a shame.
But they are moving that exotic to when you beat the Death Singer now.
Oh, okay.
So it's not going to waste, which is good because that was always kind of a bit of a weird thing. Like
Yeah, that Death Singer fight doesn't make sense at all. Like that's a huge encounter that can cause tons of problems, and you get it rewarded absolutely nothing for doing that.
Oh yeah, we were shocked the first time we went through there.
Yeah, it's like, where's my reward?
Yeah, I had 3 minutes to do this, and we had to be a finely oiled machine here, and
Yeah.
didn't get crap for it. Thanks. But yeah, so the exotic's been moved to the Death Singer. The bridge, you have to have the sword to move across the bridge, and the bridge has to be fully formed for you to cross. So basically, I think they pretty much eliminated people soloing the raid now, I think.
And that's good. That needed to happen.
Yeah, I agree. Like it did pose as a tremendous challenge, I guess, for the community to try to accomplish it. But whether that's good for a raid or not, I don't know. But and then basically the others were just fixes for Crota. If a player leaves during Crota while he's kneeling, he stands up. So you're not going to be able to just like the LAN cable pull. That cheese isn't gonna work anymore, and they fixed the one with the Sunsinger Warlocks as well. I'm not too sure exactly how that cheese worked,
I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, but there was a cheese for it eventually, apparently, and will be fixed as well.
All right.
So basically, yeah, they've kind of eliminated the majority of the big cheeses, which is good. But it is going to kind of suck though, because we have had on occasion the last person crossing the bridge die, and that's pretty much just going to be a wipe now, because for the encounter to finish, you need all 6 people on the other side. Whereas before, if someone died, the ogres would still come and you could continue.
Yeah.
So that's not the greatest, I guess, but I understand why they had to do it. To eliminate the cheesing and all that. So
yeah, I mean it's very striking to me that there are so many exploits that were found. I mean both this and with Vault of Glass. I mean it's crazy that and I mean I know that Dado touched on that in that recent video that he made, but it just seems like that there are a lot of things that they're not catching that really should be at the forefront of their minds when they're doing these designs, like the whole thing that he was talking about with doors. And I know that we wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a sec here, but just to go back to the community, I read a re-review of Destiny. Kotaku did went back and re-reviewed Destiny 4 months later on, and they made a large part of that review was touching on how the community is sort of rallying, to find these cheeses, and it's kind of become sort of a game in itself, to find these exploits, because Bungie is so adamant on fixing them, and I think Bungie should be.
Yeah.
But it's kind of sort of taking away from some sort of that community feel, I guess, that the drive of the community, whereas it has created this drive for the community to try and do these things.
Yeah, it seems to me like normal mode has become like a beta test. You know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, here's normal mode. Why don't you break it for us before we release the real raid?"
Well, it's worked out good, I think, in that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's accomplished what they wanted to do, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so I think it's smart that they did it. And yeah, like we haven't, I haven't cheesed Crota, any part of it.
yeah,
And
neither have I.
never really planned to. I don't think it demands, like, once you know what you're doing, it's actually, a fairly simple thing to do.
Yeah.
I think Vault of Glass required a lot more.
A lot more
I don't know.
coordination.
Yeah,
Look, I
yeah,
mean,
maybe that's it.
if you compare the last encounter of Vault of Glass, it requires so much more coordination compared to Crota. I mean, Crota, it's like, okay, one person is dealing with bashing him when he's down, but everybody else, okay, just shoot him when his shields are down and kill the boomers. Like, there's no coordination versus the other one. It's like, okay, well, now you throw a grenade on him to get that Praetorian down now, and then shoot the oracles and kind of stay together so I can cleanse you. Like, there's a very structured teamwork that goes on in that last encounter of Vault of Glass, and you don't need any of that for Crota, and it's really shocking to me because it's really not that it's not as complex of an encounter as what it should be.
Yeah, I agree with that. And even Templar is a hell of a fight too.
Yeah, yeah,
And there's no real equivalent in Crota either for that. Like, the bridge, yeah, at first, yeah, it was a real pain in the ass, but once you know what you're doing, and once you get to a certain level, like I've been, I was 30 up until this doing it yesterday, and being a 31, boom, 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 okay, gatekeeper's down, and oh, now my super's up. I took out the Hallowed Knight and a couple acolytes as well. It's the amount of extra damage that you do as a 31 compared to a 30. It just allows you to do, it really takes a lot of the difficulty out of it.
yeah.
As well. So, but it's still a fun raid. I really do enjoy doing it. Yeah, yes, the complexity is not there like it was for Vault of Glass, but this is only their second raid. They're still fun in my opinion. So I think it's still mission accomplished for Bungie. And if the roadmap is to be believed, then we're going to be getting still a new raid with each DLC. So we're going to be having 3 more, or I guess 4 if you include House of Wolves, before Destiny 2 comes out. So give some more time to refine their craft, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have to see, because I thought they had said somewhere along the line that they were going to be including vehicles into the raid as well. I thought they were.
I don't remember that.
I thought I heard that for Crota, but I guess not. So, but we'll just
I don't think that's necessary. I mean, unless you have some sort of special mechanic, I don't really see how that would be necessary.
Yeah, no, I don't know. So, but it's pretty much wide open. Whatever the heck they want to do, as long as they can make it work, do it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you touched on this briefly a minute ago here, and let's go back to that whole Datto thing, because that kind of just went all sideways here just over the last day here. I just want to quickly touch on it because it's really kind of shocked me. Basically, on Monday, Datto put out a video about ways to fix Destiny, and a lot of those fixes, involve removing the cheeses, particularly in the Nightfalls, because you just cheese Nightfalls pretty much now. That's just kind of how things are. That's
Yeah.
what the majority of the people do, and we're all guilty of it. We've all done it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we've all done it, and even Dado, and he has said that, and he has shown it in his videos in the past. So a lot of people are, I guess you're calling Dado a hypocrite now for.
Well, a lot of people got butt hurt with what he said, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
he was basically making fun of of the method of cheesing, and basically people took that as him calling them idiots or whatever. I can't even remember his exact verbiage, but
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, Dado he creates videos for entertainment, so he's an entertainer, so he's not some objective news anchor that's some stiff guy in a suit that has to be objective at all the time. He has to have personality, and I don't think that he wasn't being vicious or attacking anyone personally. And
No, I don't think so either.
what he said was perfectly reasonable, because he was pointing out that these strikes are broken as fuck. Every single one of them has some sort of cheese method to it, and most of them are relating to some sort of door, or it could be or something, or it could be prevented with a door.
Mm-hmm. Well, heck,
Because
even if
I mean, even like the last strike, the with this DLC, what's it called?
the Will of Crota
Yeah,
with
the Will of
Omegle.
Crota.
Yeah.
Yeah, even with that, like the very first time I played that, I'm like, okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna sit in this room right here, like the room before the room, because you can just bottleneck all the enemies, and it's become like a staple of Destiny. Like this is how you do final bosses now. You poke your head out of the room and into the room and take pop shots at them.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just the way it is. And I think especially with Will of Crota, because that boss room is tiny. If you compare it to the absolute Colosseum that
Oh, well,
Fogod
yeah.
is in, that's a tiny ass room. And with the way that she just pelts out stuff, and the way that the ads spawn in there,
Yeah,
it's
they
just
come from all over.
yeah,
It
it's
would
it's super easy.
completely
Yeah.
it would completely overwhelm you, even on the normal mode, let alone under Nightfall and everything. I don't know that it would. I would not be able to legitimately beat that without using that hallway in the Nightfall. Like there's just no way. There's just so many ads that would come along, and you would just get completely overwhelmed.
Yeah. And I thought Dado had some great points on how to fix, especially that encounter,
Yeah.
with ways that had been introduced in other missions, like those little vestige foot zones or whatever the heck they were.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, he had some really great points, and I think that um, I think that's really worth taking into consideration, because it's not like he was saying make the room bigger, because I mean that's obviously not going to happen, getting art involved and everything. But um, yeah, I mean, I think that it's personally perfectly reasonable what he was suggesting.
No, I agree, and personally, I'm a fan of his videos. I liked them. I found them to be very informative and entertaining, and I think he puts out great content. And the fact that this isn't the first time that he's mentioned the whole doors thing. That cheesing. While it should be minimized, I guess. If you want to play this game, you should be playing it as is intended. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But it seems that some of the community just went just batshit crazy, and apparently he started getting some death threats over this video, and he basically had to put out another video today, indicating that okay, to clarify a few things. Okay, yes, he has a sarcastic sense of humor, and I wasn't calling you guys idiots. Like, he basically had to put out that video, and I just kind of feel just bad for the guy, because like, to get death threats over something as stupid as this is just utterly insane.
Yeah, I mean the one thing that I commend him for is he didn't backtrack. He didn't like apologize for offending people. He basically said, don't be such a little baby. You know what I mean? Like he didn't back down, and I think that was the great thing to do because a lot of people in that situation that they try to do damage control and apologize for offending people and all that nonsense. So I think he did a good job of not of not being a little baby like that. So
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's just such a horrible thing, and just to be put in that situation over such a silly thing is just it's just baffling to me.
well, I mean YouTube comments are crazy in general. I mean you can have a video about kittens and there are people making death threats in there. Like they
Mm.
I it's you can't really take anything that are in the YouTube comments to heart, and I'm sure that those can't be the first time that he's gotten those kind of comments.
No, maybe not, but this is the first time that he's brought it up, and just the fact that he did put out the second video today to clarify
Yeah,
these things,
it,
it kind of
it
just strike
obviously
me. So
escalated at some point that prompted him to do that follow-up video.
yeah, but yeah, just kind of a crazy thing that happened that I just wanted to briefly touch on because yeah, it's just people get a little too wrapped up in their video games sometimes. It's
Yes.
it's just sad. I weep for mankind sometimes. So, and with that, let's move on to another bright topic, Call of Duty, because that's always fun and happy times with a non-toxic community sometimes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, too bad Nick isn't able to join us. I know that he's feeling really sick, and I hope he gets better. But yeah, he wasn't
Yeah,
able to. He wasn't able to join us this evening because of his illness.
and that's too bad because, yeah, as we mentioned last week, two Clan Wars um, in late December. There, we won both of them. So congrats again to our guys. Looks like we got a new Clan War starting on January 16th. So that's next weekend.
Yeah.
So looking to defend the title again. So good luck, guys. And
And
then one
there's
other.
and there's a registration that I know it's been submitted it's been sent in the Call of Duty chat for registering for Clan Wars, so Nick will know how many people are going to be participating. So check that and make sure you submit your availability. It's a 3 question survey to indicate if you're going to be doing it and how many hours you plan on putting in, because I know it will help him plan so he knows what bracket to put the clan under. So it's really important if you plan on participating to submit that so he has that kind of information.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, if you're in the Call of Duty chat and you don't see it, just ask for it, and one of the mods will get that in there for you guys. One other quick little thing with Call of Duty as well. Looks like there's a ranked playlist, and that's starting tomorrow. So if you want to try and earn some new gear and compete in, I guess, get in more of a ranked environment, that is available starting tomorrow. So
Tomorrow, you're talking about
Friday, yes.
Friday the 9th. So when this,
Yes.
yeah, most people will listen to this on Friday.
Yes, yeah. So
So
yeah, it's Thursday right now.
probably
Tomorrow.
today, as you're listening to this, it's available.
Yes. Yeah, so if you want to check that out, it will be available probably when you listen to this.
Yeah.
All right. Let's touch on some Halo here before we sign off here. I haven't had a chance to play any more of the beta since last week. Have you had a chance to
Yeah,
play some more on that, or?
I've had a lot of good time with it. So when you guys were doing when you were recording the last episode, that was before Breakout dropped, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I've been playing mostly Breakout since that update hit. One thing that I've really got to say is if you watch the sprint that's available on the Halo channel, you kind of got a tease that this was happening, but they're doing remixes of their map. So they basically take a map that they've designed and they shake it up and and move some artwork around and block off some passages, create new passages, and really shake up the map while still utilizing the base framework of the map and the base artwork of it. And we've seen that with two maps. So when the beta first started, we had Empire and Truth, and now since that last update, those maps were replaced with their remix versions, which are Eden and Regret. So that was really cool. Seeing how drastically different this remix is, it's crazy. It gives me really high hopes that when Halo 5 comes out, we're going to get a ton of maps.
So these are just kind of like done in Forge, kind of that sort of thing, or
No, they're not Forge, because I mean, you look at Forge, that's really just I mean, that would be I don't know. It's really weird. So look, if you take Truth as an example,
okay.
So Truth is it's the remake of Midship, and in Truth it's flying throughout space, and the structure is completely intact. You have the sword that's on the bridge, and it's on a bridge on the second level. Mm-hmm. But in the remix version, it's not in space. It's crashed on a planet. The roof of it is completely blown off, and a lot of the structure is not intact. So some of the rampways aren't there, and also the power weapon doesn't spawn up top. It's on the bottom in the middle. So right now it's not the sword. It's like a rocket launcher, the Hydra. So the map plays 100% different, even though it's using the same base architecture. So Truth, it's really dark and in space and everything, but Regret, it's very bright because it's during the day. There's like growth all inside it. There's like jungle growth inside the ship and everything as nature has started to consume it after it has crashed. So it's really, really interesting, and I think it's an amazing concept that they've done.
Oh, that is really cool. Yeah, I had no idea. No, that is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I like Truth better over Regret, but the other version, so they took Empire, which if you've watched any of the videos or if you played it, it's that map that is kind of in a complex and it has an outside area. So the remix of that is Eden, and that takes place at night, and the interior of the map has a bunch of catwalks. So it plays really different. So in Empire, a lot of the fighting takes place outside on that kind of outer lip where that sniper rifle spawns. But in Eden, most of the combat is happening inside because of all those catwalks and the increased movement on the interior of the map. So it plays really, really different.
Oh, that's cool. I actually preferred Empire to Truth when I was playing it there last week, and yeah, that outside area definitely got a heck of a lot of traction. And the inside wasn't really utilized at all because it was just pretty much, if you go in the middle there, you're pretty much going to die.
Yeah, check out Slayer. So play some Slayer, and you'll get the new maps instead, the remix versions. It's really interesting to see what they're able to do with remixing the existing maps. It's really cool.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. Yeah, just haven't had a chance to this week. So.
Yeah. But in terms of like Breakout, I think that it's a really interesting game type that's in Halo. I mean, I guess it's kind of like SWAT, except it's only one life per round. When it was first originally announced, to me it sounded a lot like Counter-Strike. And even like Call of Duty Search and Destroy. Mm-hmm. But I think that the differences of it actually getting it feels a lot different because it's more arena based. Have you played? So you haven't played any of that, Mike?
No, I haven't. No, yeah, I haven't been able to touch it since the update came out. So, but yeah, I'll definitely have to check that in there because definitely that new map design definitely that intrigues me because why not do that? You drastically change how a map plays. It is sort of a new experience. You get used to a map being a certain way, and then if you spin it on its head, it's completely different. So you can't really well, I guess you just get used to it again, but still, yeah, like,
Yeah, it's a different map. It feels like a completely different map.
hmm,
Yeah,
oh,
and so I know that. So we've seen 6 maps so far, and then we're supposed to be getting another, I think another 2 with this within this last week of the beta, and so it's going to be 8 maps by the time this beta is over, which is pretty insane. I mean, 8 is how many maps Destiny launched with. So we're going to be getting 8 in just a beta a year in advance. So it Halo 5 is shaping up to be really good.
yeah. Yeah, I agree, because even Titanfall only shipped, that beta only had 2 maps.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a good thing. If only the rest of the community agreed with that. Which
Yes.
segues nicely into our last little segment here, which is basically the Halo community doesn't seem to want to be a cohesive unit here.
I
Because you
don't know
have
of any
your,
community that is.
well, that's true, but the Halo definitely seems to be a lot more divided than
Yes.
your typical your typical group, because I guess with a franchise that's that is now spanning so many years, you're kind of getting 2 camps. You're getting the guys that have played it since day one. Combat Evolved all the way back in 2001, and you got the guys who are just starting them to it. That maybe 4 was their first Halo experience, and I guess this is creating some issues. And the vocal, well, I don't know if it's minority or majority, but the most vocal group right now seems to be the quote unquote hardcore, old school fans who liked Halo the way it was. And I don't know if it's just for the nostalgia factor or what, but they're having a heck of a lot of issue with the direction that 343 has taken with Halo since acquiring it. And I don't know, it's really creating a lot of, I would assume, a lot of frustration for 343, because at the moment they just can't seem to please anybody.
Yeah. I mean, I think if it a lot of it stems, in my opinion, from Halo 4. So, I mean, I think that Halo 4 is when there was just a radical shift in direction, and they've been unable to shake the community to gain the community's trust again based on what they did with Halo 4. Um, and with Halo 4, they made it a lot like Call of Duty. They added kill streaks and the XP system to rank up versus the skill system and the loadouts instead of even starts. So they just did a lot of things that was making it feel a lot more like Call of Duty than Halo, and Sprint is another one that they added in 4. And I think that when that happened, that just it turned the community toxic, and I don't think 343 has been able to recover since then.
Not to say that Halo should be Call of Duty, because it should not.
Yeah.
But is there really, like, at what point, like, who wins this argument? Like, or who should win this argument? Because it seems that 343 is doing what they can to sort of progress the franchise forward, to sort of build on the success that that a Call of Duty has as
Yeah.
The largest FPS franchise out there. A lot of people play Call of Duty. A lot of those people might want to play Halo as well. Especially all these these new up and coming gamers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you could get away with making a shooter today and not have sprint. I just don't know if you could do it, because it's become a mechanic that every player is used to in a first-person shooter game, and that hasn't been in Halos. Prior to 4, there wasn't sprint, and
There wasn't reach, wasn't there?
well,
It was
there
an armor
was, but
ability.
it was from like an armor ability, so every player didn't have sprint to begin with.
Okay.
So it was a little different. It wasn't like part of the core movement.
Okay.
Um, and I think that I just don't think that you can that in 2015 you can release a first person shooter without sprint, because the genre evolves. You look all the way back to Doom. If they created a Doom game and people said no, we can't have grenades in Doom as an alternate, to we can't throw grenades in Doom because Doom 1 didn't have grenades. You know what I mean? Like, it's asinine to say because the series didn't have it 10 years ago, it shouldn't have it now.
Mhm. No,
So, I mean,
I agree.
I think that if you, of course, you don't want to make every game the same. You don't want it to be Call of Duty. And I think that it has to maintain this certain identity, and Sprint doesn't take away that identity. I mean, you look at the larger scope of things, Sprint does not take away the Halo identity.
No, I agree.
I
I
think that
most definitely agree.
I mean, I think that if you're saying, okay, well, what makes Halo a Halo game, it's always been even starts and power weapon control, right? So I mean, and it's being able to control the spawns of your opponents, being able to maintain control of the power weapons, and and if you have that, you're going to have a Halo game. So, and that's where 4 deviated, because 4, that wasn't, none of that was important at all. But um, with 5, it's completely gone back to its roots of map control, power weapon control, even starts, and that's what makes it feel like a Halo game.
No, I 100% agree here because, like what you just said, like with the power weapon control and all that, then yeah, that's in 5. That's in the beta. We
Yeah.
we, we have that. Yeah, like we have sprinting, we have ADS. I think, other than that, this is Halo.
Right. Yeah.
And coming from like a Call of Duty background myself, like, and with 4 being my first Halo, I didn't have an issue with 4. I thought 4 was fine, and I can't. I don't think we can say that 4 was any sort of a bad game per se. But I think
It wasn't a bad game. It was a bad Halo game.
well,
So, and I mean, if you look at the multiplayer community, I mean, the community reflected that in terms of player drop off. Like, that multiplayer just died like nothing when that game came out.
I did some reading today, and Halo 4 for it was the third most played game of 2012. It came out.
I'm sorry, of what?
It was the third most played game on Xbox Live in 2012. I think that's when it came out. I think so, anyways.
That that doesn't make sense.
That's that's the article that I read today, and it could be wrong. It could be wrong, but a lot of people were playing.
Because
Were playing.
that's when Call of Duty, what was it, Black Ops 2 or something came out?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I don't. I would have a hard time believing that
Well, it's
Black
third.
Ops 2 did
Third.
not.
Third. Not first. Third.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Third
Oh,
most played
third.
game.
I thought you said first. Okay.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Third
Okay.
most played game of 2012.
Sure. It's a Halo game. You could
Yeah.
slap
True.
any Halo first-person shooter, and you're gonna get that.
Yeah. But still, the 2 months that it was out in 2012 was enough to propel it all the way to the number 3 spot.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
people were playing it.
Yeah, and the following year, right? I mean, you look at the following year, what happened? Because
Yeah.
it came out in November, so what? It only had to, by the third month of everyone stopped playing. How impressive is that? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the numbers. I really don't. But um, from a general consensus of when you look at polls on Reddit or on the Halo Waypoint, Halo 4 is always the outcast in terms of popularity, especially within like the 4 numbered games of 1 through 4.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think it's fully deserved. Like they were trying to move the franchise forward, and that is what they have to do. But you have these very vocal people that are saying that they want combat evolved, and that's it. It seems, and that's not necessarily the right opinion to have, in my opinion. But I'm not a game developer, so I'm not worried about these sort of problems.
Yeah, I mean,
343
playing the Master Chief Collection, I mean, it's really crazy playing Combat Evolved. Um, it's really not that good. You know, I mean, it was good at the time. It was good at the time. It was like the best. It was the best experience ever. But when I compare Combat Evolved to Halo 2, like Combat Evolved is just it's not good. Like the pistol is just ridiculous, right? I mean, there's no reason to pick up any weapon other than a sniper rifle or a rocket launcher because your pistol is better than everything else that's dropped. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's well, there should be game progression, obviously, and you always hope that your follow up is as good or better than its than its predecessor. And I think for the most part, Halo has done that. I think with the obvious exception of 4. I didn't mind it. I thought the campaign in 4 was far superior to 3. I haven't played the other two still. I haven't had a chance to dive into Combat Evolved or Halo 2 for campaign wise.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the Halo 2 campaign, except it kind of ended abruptly, um, and they called that out in the documentary as to why they just ran out of time and stuff. I enjoyed the Halo 2 campaign, probably the best,
Yeah.
followed by 3. One was all right, but it got repetitive.
What do you think of 4?
4, I enjoyed the premise in 4 because spoiler alert. Have you played it? You said you haven't played 4.
I have played 4.
You have played 4. So
I played 3 and 4.
with 4, I really like the idea of Cortana suffering and him and Master Chief trying to save Cortana. Like that sets up the story to be great. It's this great premise and this great power struggle. The problem is, throughout the game, you weren't progressing that story the entire time. I felt like I was running in place. Like, okay, I'm fighting this new bad guy that is completely unrelated to what I'm trying to achieve. Because you're trying to get back to Earth to save Cortana, and it just feels like the entire game you're not really doing anything to meet that goal. So it was a good campaign. I just felt like, I don't know. I felt like it was a missed opportunity in terms of that story.
That's a good point because I never really thought of it that way. Like I enjoyed 4. I thought, and especially playing 3 afterwards, that it had a heck of a lot more story, a lot more drive behind it. It seemed than 3 did. But I had to look up who the Didact was after I finished 4. Like, who the heck is this guy? Why is he doing these things?
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed like it was some random enemy that that they threw in there. I don't know.
Yeah, and if you go back and watch all the terminals, and there's obviously a lot more information of who he was, even going back to even at the Combat Evolved terminals, there was mention of him with his little symbol in one of them.
Oh, I haven't watched any of those terminals from Combat Evolved.
Yeah, so
because those were added as the remaster, so they weren't in there originally.
Yeah, yes, true. So I've watched. I think I've watched all of the Combat Evolved terminals.
Oh, okay.
And the Didact was briefly mentioned, not by name, but by I guess premise of him.
I gotcha.
Back all the way back then, but unless you're really familiar with the Halo universe, you're not going to know who the hell he was.
Yeah. I want to replay. I want to replay the Halo 4 campaign before Halo 5 comes out, because I kind of was breezing through it, and I think that I just want to play it again.
Yeah, I think I've only played it the once myself, so I definitely think it'd be worth a revisit, especially before the next one comes out, because the journey that the Chief took, more than anything, emotionally, I think is definitely the big setup.
Yeah.
For Halo 5. So.
I mean, I think that they added. You look at 343 and what they've done well. I mean, I think they added character development really well, and they just blew it away in terms of visuals and the sound. I mean, the weapon sounds of Halo 4 are amazing, and they've continued that with Halo 5. Like I don't think that I've heard any other game that does weapon sounds that well.
Yeah, it is really good. So like they know what they're doing. And just if the community would just let them do it.
Yeah, the community. I mean, the community just has to shut up. I mean, that's really all there. I think send them the message of, okay, let's return to our roots, and then let them figure out what that means, and you know, send them the message we don't want a Call of Duty clone. Then let them figure out what that means. You know what I mean? Like this, just the rage posts that are posted on Waypoint are just out of hand.
Yeah, well, there was a good one that you shared in the Halo chat today that I've included in the show notes. I think it's worth a read. It's quite long, and I think it is very well written. It's not your typical rage post where it's just bad grammar and
Yeah,
fix this, all that. And he does go off on quite a tangent.
I mean, he's an armchair developer that calls 343 incompetent for making different design decisions. I mean, I can't take the post seriously. The post obviously took a lot of effort and a lot of thought into what he was creating. He obviously has the ability to articulate his thoughts, but to me, his entire he has a complaint about every new aspect that's been added to Halo 5. Every single one, from sprint to aim down sights to call outs to the hit indicators. I mean, just literally every single thing that is not from Halo 3, he complains about. And so, what somebody like that, I just can't take seriously, because all they're saying is that they're afraid of change.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he has some good points. I think one of the biggest points that I agree with is the bullet magnetism. He included a couple videos, and I think that it's really weird, like looking at that and saying, yeah, that doesn't really make sense. So I think that he makes a good point about that, but a lot of the other stuff is just rubbish.
I read everything, but I didn't actually watch the videos, so I'm not too sure about that.
He demonstrates what he's talking about bullet magnetism. I think it's a really good point that he makes. So
Got some
I would
curvy
definitely.
bullets here.
What?
Got some curvy bullets.
Well, he basically, like, aim assist is when you see kind of your cursor, your reticle, following the target as it moves. I mean, we've all seen aim assist in action, but what he's shown is, so he's kind of looking at somebody off in the distance, and he moves the reticle a little to the side, so it's not on top of the enemy, but he shoots, and the bullets still hit the enemy.
Yeah.
So it's clearly a missed shot, but he's getting hits. So it's really weird. I definitely think that it's something that should be either really toned down or just removed. Because I would definitely recommend watching that.
Yeah, no, I agree, because I even noticed that Destiny the other night when I've been playing.
That has crazy aim assist. Oh my goodness. That drives me so nuts.
Yeah, it's ridiculous at times. They're like, oh shit, I missed that shot. Oh, wait, I didn't. Oh, I got a headshot out of that. Great. No, it's a little too extreme, and if we want a skill-based game, then you definitely don't want that. If you miss, you should be penalized for it, because that's the difference between winning a gunfight, and especially in a game like Halo. So if you want to check out that post, that'll take a few minutes of your time, but it might be worth a read, and link in the show notes as well. I think that pretty much will wrap things up for this week. You got anything that you'd like to add before we wrap things up here, Keith?
No, I don't. I mean, I think we covered it.
Awesome. Be sure to check us out. We've got our website, originalguardians.net. Look us up on Facebook, Original Guardians. Twitter, we are @OGuardians. And look us up on Google Plus if you're down with that as well. Plus, Original Guardians. Links are in the show notes. Give a look if you'd like. A few videos from Dado in there as well. Check those out if you'd like as well. Bungie update is in there as well to cover the cheese fixes in Crota, and a couple other little things in there as well. And with that, I think we will sign off for the week here. Thanks everyone for listening, and we will be back next week. Thanks for listening.